Okay, so I decided to do this on a very, very hot day. I have my towel here, and I have my cup of water, and I got my fan on, so sorry if the fan's just kind of messing with the audio, but it is really hot. Like, we here in California, we don't have it easy. We really don't. But holy crap, dude, it's been 2 years since I started my YouTube channel, which means that I've already had about maybe 3 Blu-ray collection videos. This one's Blu-ray collection 2016. Good lord, look at that thing. It's huge. But a few things before I start, I wanted to mention that my short film, those effects are taking a very, very long time to do. And so I apologize for not getting that done yet. And I will leave the teaser right there just in case you want to see it. It's only a minute long, so I mean, I put a lot of hard work into that, so you should check that out. But yeah, I really underestimated how hard it was going to be animating lightsaber effects. So that'll be out in a little while, hopefully not too long, just because it's a very daunting thing making effects when it's just myself, you know. So yeah, let's just get started with this monstrosity. 3:10 to Yuma. I remember it being a really fun western, and I mean, you know, Russell Crowe and Christian Bale, not bad. The Steelbook of 10 Cloverfield Lane. I had really high expectations for this movie, and it really did not let me down. John Goodman is the best character, and yeah, I mean, the guy made a short film on YouTube, which is just kind of weird when you think about it, how many directors have short films and then they get famous off the short films that they make on YouTube, and now they're making really big movies. It's mind-blowing to think about. 12 Years a Slave, I haven't seen this in a while, but I remember it being a very pleasant movie to watch. 28 Days Later, Danny Boyle is one of the best directors, in my opinion, out there. He's made some of my favorite movies of all time. I wish this would have been filmed in a better quality camera instead of a DSLR. I believe it was a DSLR. That being said, though, it is pretty suspenseful, and it's a really nice watch. Or scary watch, I should say. Another Danny Boyle movie, 127 Hours. Really intense movie. I haven't seen it again in a long time. I haven't seen a lot of these in a while. Danny Boyle knows how to... This movie proves to me that he knows how to make one location for the entirety of an hour and 30 minutes entertaining. James Franco is fantastic in this movie, and the soundtrack is also really good. Nobody talks about the soundtrack. The soundtrack's fantastic. 500 Days of Summer. I didn't really understand this movie a couple of years ago, but rewatching it now, I understand it now. It's not that Mark Webb does a lot of unique things with this movie. I'm sure that he's very capable of making something with his own style and whatnot, but I like how it has those kind of like fantastical montages of him just kind of singing with like the birds. Another thing that stands out to me is how it like jumps forward and backwards in the timeline, and I like it for that reason too. 2012, the definition of a Hollywood movie that's really entertaining to watch. I enjoy it. I mean, I haven't seen it again in a while, but you know, I find fun out of it. The Amazing Spider-Man. I really still like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. This movie has a really good color palette, by the way. The color palette, to me, I really loved it. It stayed consistent throughout the entire thing. It added to the tone of the movie. Unlike this thing, Amazing Spider-Man 2. No, not at all. I really wish this movie didn't exist. This was, I think, the first movie that I had anticipated, and walked out of it really disappointing. I was lying to myself that it was good, but it really is not good at all. But you know what? It's okay, because Spider-Man is in the MCU now. He was cool in Civil War, and I'm looking forward to Spider-Man Homecoming, which will hopefully be good. Amy, the one and only documentary that I saw in 2015, which, by the way, Adam, thank you for giving me this. It's a very dreadful movie. Not to say that it's not good. It's a fantastic... It won Best Documentary Oscar for logical reasons. It's fantastic. I don't really want to watch it again just because it is so dreadful, but the way this documentary is made, it's more like the people who are being interviewed aren't being showed as being interviewed. It's more like they're narrating the pictures and the videos, and it's almost like it's made like a movie, but it's like they're narrating the scenes. It's very innovative for documentaries, and I wish more were like this. At the same time, I'm glad that they're not like it because it makes Amy so unique. Anomalisa, I finally got to watch it in February. Not as good as Charlie Coffin's previous film, Synecdoche, New York, which I'll get to that in a second, which I also own. It's still good. The animation's beautiful. I mean, stop motion. Oh my god, that'll make me want to kill myself. I was looking up some of the behind the scenes looks, and they're talking about how it took them 2 frames, just like it took them an entire day just to get 2 frames down. And usually for a second in a film, it's 24 frames a second. So it would take them not even a second of the film to get done in one day, and it's just baffling, and man, it sounds really stressing. Nonetheless, I really appreciate this movie for what it was going for. Not as good as Synecdoche, New York, in my opinion, but it is still like there are still some things that I need to really dig in and think about what the themes and what it's really trying to say. Argo, this is really beat up, but you know, whatever. I wish Ben Affleck just directed more movies instead of being the Batman. I mean, I don't think he's bad at being the Batman. Just I would like to see him direct more movies because this was really good. Haven't seen The Town or Gone Baby Gone. Speaking of Ben Affleck as Batman, oh yeah, I got it. Yeah. I was actually one of the few people who actually liked it. I saw the Ultimate Edition. There's no reason why it should have been rated R. They were just kind of reaching for it. It was the Deadpool effect. I mean, Deadpool made every studio want to make their movie rated R just because of how successful it was. Therefore, resulting in this light rated R version of a 3-hour movie that was already way too long. Which by the way, the first 2/3 of the movie feel like a political thriller, like a serious movie, like you're trying to take these superheroes seriously. Then the last third just completely goes off the map. It just gets crazy and completely contradicts the tone of the first 2/3, but I like it in a way, you know. Zack Snyder is a very visual type-esque director. Watchmen was really, really great. I was looking forward to this after I watched it, and I didn't think it was as bad as everybody was saying it was. A Beautiful Mind got this at a Costco for $10, I believe it was. I'm very, very glad because I love these Universal slipcovers when they're done nicely, and they're in really pristine condition. But if you've never seen this movie, don't look up anything about it, please, because I went into this movie not knowing a single thing about it except that Russell Crowe's in it. And my mind was blown. Thanks, Dad, for not telling me anything. I can name so many reasons why Alejandro González Iñárritu is one of the best directors out there, but short version, watch all of his movies. Birdman, particularly, is my favorite out of all of them. Amores Perros, The Revenant, all those movies are completely fantastic. Babel, oh my god. But yeah, he's just one of the best directors out there right now. If you want to get into his movies, I'd recommend starting with Birdman and then going into his earlier foreign films. Everything about this movie is perfect. I mean, the score, the performances, the cinematography, the one shot, they made it so perfect. I know that there are some places where you can predict where the cuts are, but you can never actually see any cuts being made. It's brilliantly well done. Absolutely deserved Best Picture and Best Director too. The Birds. I remember this being a little outdated. I haven't seen it in like a year, I think. But the thing that like most stood out to me was that one shot or that one sequence where the guy has his hand outside the door and then the birds are pecking at him. That stuck with me, man. Black Hawk Down. Haven't even seen it yet, but yet I got it at a garage sale for $1. So I've always hated the way these double packs look, just because they always look so cheap to me. But Three Kings and Body of Lies. Three Kings I have seen, and I think it's really funny. Haven't seen in a while, you know, again, with all these movies. And Body of Lies I haven't seen yet. Bridge of Spies. I would have expected more from Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, but, I mean, I thought it was good. It's not bad or anything, it's just, it's not amazing. Did I mention it was really hot? Chronicle, back when Josh Trank actually directed a really, really good superhero movie. I watched Fantastic Four, or Fant4stic from 2015, and I'm not going to talk about that. We're talking about Chronicle right now. Dane DeHaan is really great in this film. My only complaint with this movie is the special effects. There's a sequence in the talent show where one of the guys is juggling balls in the air and they look so fake. Balls. Is there any way not to make that sound weird? Cloverfield. Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane had a lot to live up to this movie, and then walking out with my friend, we were like, yeah, this is a lot better than the original Cloverfield. Thinking about it now, I think they're pretty on par, to be honest. This one's still incredibly terrifying. I watched it twice in a row when I first got it to rent it from the library. Do I think it's as good as everybody says it is? No! Is it still a really fun movie to watch? Yes! That's all I really have to say about it. Oh, and the boxing matches, though. The boxing matches are pretty cool. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button on the Criterion. I don't know why they made it like a regular case. It's weird, but it's still a Criterion, so I mean, whatever, the quality, the transfer is still great. Haven't seen this in a while. I remember it being one of the lesser David Fincher movies, just because I know that David Fincher is capable of making some mind-blowing movies. So yeah, I just remember this being one of his lesser films. Burn After Reading, one of my favorite comedies of all time. It is so funny watching a bunch of idiots just run around thinking that they can do whatever they want. So I know that I previously mentioned, that I sat through 3 hours of the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman. unfortunately. God damn it, I have coasters and I'm not even using them. What was it talking about? Oh yeah, so I was talking about how I was going through 3 hours of the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman, but I'm not really sure if I'm ready to go through 3 hours and a half of Kevin Costner kind of running around with the Indians. I've seen the 2.5-hour edition. It's really good, but I'm not sure if I'm really ready to watch 3 hours and a half of this. I remember it being really fantastic. The Dark Knight. Yeah, what else do I have to say about it? Oh, by the way, this is a DVD, and I just put it wrapped in a blue. Yeah, I'm ashamed. I'm sorry. The Dark Knight Rises, not as good as The Dark Knight. Obviously, everybody knows that. But like for me, it gets worse every time I watch it. So I kind of regret getting this just because it is on Criterion. But I really wanted to see it from last year. That it stays confused. Again, haven't seen it in a little bit over a year, but it's fun. It's really like. Really captures high school if you're into the drugs and stuff. I've never personally drinking or done drugs in my life, but I know a few people that might like this movie. I honestly never thought this movie was going to get made. I remember the test footage being leaked, and I thought it was awesome. I was like, they're never going to do this just because it's too good. It's too good to be true. And now it is actually true. Deadpool, wow, I saw this twice in the theater. The first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's kind of standard-ish, you know. It's not very unique in the terms of a film quality, like filmmaking standpoint. It's not really that unique, but in my opinion, it's probably as good as a Deadpool movie's ever gonna be. I'm really glad that it turned out the way it should have been. Ryan Reynolds, as everybody says, is born to play Deadpool. The Departed, first time that I watched it last year, I was paranoid. I'm not even gonna lie, I was really paranoid after this movie. Daryl Wimpy Kid 1 and 2, haven't seen the first one in a while. I saw the second one just recently, and the cringe are with these both. They for me, they encapsulate elementary school so perfectly. I was never this immature in middle school, but it is still fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Die Hard, one of the best action movies ever made. Hans Gruber, Alan Rickman, rest in peace, was fantastic in this movie. Bruce Willis, back when he cared about acting, you know, he was really good. District 9, I wish Neil Blomkamp finally did a good movie again. Isn't he making an Aliens spinoff or something like that? I haven't caught up with my sci-fi. Django Unchained, my second favorite Tarantino movie, right next to Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction to me is still his masterpiece. But Django Unchained, oh my god, is this movie so much fun. The bloody shootout scenes are fantastic, and the dialogue too. The dialogue, I prefer watching that more than the shootouts, but when the shootouts happen, you're like, what? Tarantino makes a movie fly like this much. Like, you feel that it's long, but it just goes by so fast for some reason. It's really hard to describe, you know? I've know I said this many times before on this channel, but I don't think I've ever seen myself watching this movie again. And that's The Doors, the movie by Oliver Stone. It's so depressing. It's a very well-made film. Don't get me wrong. Definitely check it out if you're a Doors fan. It's just too depressing to see how it's portrayed. You know, the drug aspects and just the life of a rock and roll star. Man, that just sounds really just daunting and really terrible life. Don John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt really needs to direct a movie soon. So if you know me, I really enjoy Criterion. They're a great company, and you know, most of the time, a lot of their movies are fantastic. Only problem I have with them though is their prices. So I sent my dad to go get this when it was half off. I wanted to get it because of a recommendation of Edgar Wright, because sometimes the directors have those videos where they go into the Criterion closet and they see what kind of movies that they want to have. He recommended Don't Look Now because of its amazing editing, and it was in his top 10 movies of all time. And then I watched it, and I was disappointed. That's not to say it's not a good movie. It's a really well-made movie. But I don't think it's for everybody. Donnie Darko, this was given to me by my friend Gabe, who has now moved to Hawaii. Oh, why'd you have to go, Gabe? If you're watching this, Gabe, by the way, thank you for this. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not even kidding. It's one of the, this is one of the few rare occasions where I can say that this movie, all of the elements meshed well perfectly. You got the tone, the soundtrack. The soundtrack is amazing. Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, the atmosphere, the humor, the tone. I think I said tone already. The mystery, the imagery, it all came together to give us what, in my opinion, is one of the few perfect movies of all time. You know those movies when you rewatch them again and they're not as good as you remember them being? In fact, they might be a little worse. Yeah, well, that's dope for me. I first watched this and I really enjoyed it. Now watching it again, I mean, it's okay. There's nothing terribly wrong with it. I don't know, maybe it's the fact that it tries to be a little too quirky. This was given to me by my sister for my birthday, which, by the way, thank you, Eileen. I know you're watching this for sure. I hope you are. You are, right? Right. I'm a little afraid to rewatch it again just because it's one of those childhood movies that I remember being completely amazing, and I don't want to rewatch it right now and be like, wow, that actually really sucks, and I don't want to ruin the movie for me, you know? I have high hopes though. Possibly my favorite documentary of all time, Excerpt of the Gift Shop. If you guys have not seen this, it's on Netflix, please check it out. It has such a good message about like the art industry. Stanley Kubrick's last movie, Eyes Wide Shut, which I think is ironically the first Stanley Kubrick movie that I saw. It's an interesting movie. It really is. Fantastic Mr. Fox on the Criterion Collection. I think this is my favorite movie of all time. It's tied right now currently with another movie that I'll mention coming up. Wes Anderson and stop motion. Like his style blends in so well with the stop motion. And like I said, stop motion, I love it so much, but I can never see myself doing stop motion just because it takes up a lot of work. Okay, now we are down to the second row. Fight Club. When I was saying that David Fincher is capable of making really good movies, this is what I was talking about, and that's why he set the standard so high. I love Fight Club. I mean, there's not really much to say about Fight Club anymore because everybody's already said it. But it is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. Okay, so I have a double pack here of The Man with No Name, the first two in the series, and this is how you make a double pack, by the way. It looks consistent, the fonts, everything, the colors, they look great, right? That's how you make a double pack. Haven't seen these yet. I'm waiting to get the third one so that I can marathon these all in one day. Denzel Washington in Flight. Oh man, the plane crash scene at the beginning is amazing. The rest of the movie doesn't really go for that kind of a feel. It's a drama. The only thing that I don't necessarily think should be a part of this movie, or is kind of like, you know, an inconsistency, are the scenes with John Goodman. Not saying that they're not good, they're just kind of out of place for like the tone that this movie's getting at. And sure, they could be looked as comedic relief, but I don't know, just for me, going from one scene from him drinking alcohol to another one where John Goodman's jokingly trying to get him sober again, it's just, I don't know, it's just, the tone just kind of flips too fast. It's like a switch turning off and on. The French Connection. Haven't seen it yet. I've tried so many, I've played this so many times. I've seen the first 12 minutes of this movie more times than I've probably seen my favorite movie of all time, but I haven't been able to get through this entire thing. I don't know if it's because I'm always tired or if I'm just like not into it. I don't know though. I'll get to it one day. Garden State, or Adulthood Angst, the movie. That's what it should be called, I think. The best thing about this movie is the soundtrack, definitely. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Not one of my favorite David Fincher movies, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying it's not good. It's definitely good. But, you know, not one of my favorites. Ironically, another David Fincher movie that's kind of, like, the packaging of this is kind of made the same. Gone Girl. Yeah, I just love how a lot of his movies are in this kind of consistent way, you know? Or it kind of looks like a Criterion almost. But I did a movie night on that, so if you want to check that out, it will be right there. So I got the regular edition of this movie at a garage sale for $1, and then it came to Criterion in February, and I was like, oh my gosh, Criterion, you're gonna make me spend $40. And I was like, oh wait, the sale's going on during summer, and so I got these for $20, and I was so excited when I got it. It's The Graduate. The Graduate's one of my favorite movies of all time, and the transfer is mind-blowingly good. It's way better than the original version that I have, which I have somewhere in the bottom, which I'll get to later. And I cannot stress this enough, but this is one of the best Blu-ray transfers I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not kidding. It looked like a new movie. Not talking about necessarily shot composition or the way it's made, but the way it looks. It's one of the best Blu-rays I own. Gran Torino. Haven't seen it. Don't really have an opinion because I haven't seen it in almost 2 years now. I remember Clint Eastwood being really scary though, so I mean, what's new? Gravity, one of the most disappointing movies, in my opinion. Grindhouse. It's ironic that the Robert Rodriguez movie is better than the Tarantino movie, but that's just kind of the way it is. Them together, I can always see myself watching Death Proof. Only if I watch the entirety of the Grindhouse thing, saga, double feature thing. I never see myself watching Death Proof on its own. The Hateful Eight, again with another Tarantino movie. One that came out recently. I hadn't been able to watch it, and then I got it, and it was freaking great. The cinematography is absolutely amazing, no surprise there. But the soundtrack, oh my god, the original soundtrack is so amazing. The overture I can just listen to all day is so suspenseful. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. I was kind of feeling about marathoning all of them before Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. But then again, I was trying for months to watch all the Bourne movies, and that's coming out this Friday. So I'm not really sure that I'll have enough time to watch these. Steelbook of Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. One of my favorite steelbooks. Honestly, like this design. I'm not really like into the comic book designs of these steelbooks, but I mean, this is obviously a comic book movie. It fits it very, very well. I love this movie so much. Guillermo del Toro did such an amazing job directing this entire thing. Horrible Bosses. Whenever I ask my sister if she wants to watch a movie, she always tells me this one. And yeah, I'm just really sick and tired of this movie. The Hunger Games, the first one, and Catching Fire. Haven't seen these in a while. I got this on Black Friday for $5.99. Regret though, because both of these are at FYE with slipcovers. So I'm glad I missed out on that. They're pieces of cardboard, for Christ's sake, but for some reason I like having slipcovers. It just makes me feel more complete as a person. I don't freaking know why. Ice Age, again, there's a new edition with slipcovers. But let's not talk about that right now. Is anybody really gonna go watch Collision Course? I don't think so. It made like $20 million last weekend. Just terrible, by the way. I kind of want them to complete the last, like the 6th movie, so we can have one solid trilogy and then like the really crappy trilogy after that. You know, kind of like Star Wars. You know, kind of balances it all out. Inception. The Steelbook of Inception. I found this at the 788 bin. It blew my mind. It only came with a Blu-ray though, but I don't really care. Hadn't watched this. The first time I watched it absolutely blew my mind. Indiana Jones and the... yeah, this is the only Indiana Jones movie I own, unfortunately. Which is a crime because I have all the rest of them on VHS. Inglourious Bastards. Not one of my favorite Tarantino movies, I'm not gonna lie. Instructions Not Included. Haven't seen this in a while. I remember it making me cry for the first time. Then again, I was maybe 12 years old, so I don't know. I hope it's good.